Fortunately, there's some really good research that's there that can help us to some extent in some of these areas. There's Karen Swan is wonderful in this paper from literally 6 years ago now, that what the research tells us. And in conjunction with thinking about what different kinds of technologies, online interactions do in terms of aspects of social presence, cognitive presence, teaching presence, sure enough, as you would expect, different technologies tend to more or less favor different dimensions out there. As does face-to-face, by the way. So each has a role, each has a place. So the point is that we're not devoid of research that can help shape some of the things we do and some of the directions we might head. And Karen's a great one on the way to learning. And we can take advantage of all of this. Lots of issues, authoring environments and learning motivation, some of the things we've talked about, standards, some of the things that are pretty boring, but pretty important, as you want to try to move stuff around, for example. Some of the things that are nice out there are things like Android and mobile devices, which is more open source. There's a lot of these kinds of things that can help. Do we embed things in? What do we do in terms of curriculum revision? As we're all doing our OBTL curriculum, how much of this are we bringing in? I had a great conversation with John Biggs a couple of years ago. As we're talking about some of the things we could do, John said, "Hey, this is great." But I can tell you there wasn't a whole lot of similar enthusiasm amongst a large number of the instructors and faculty who were there, who were saying, "Boy, we're trying to deal with all of this other stuff. How are we going to simultaneously deal, with all of these technological extensions?" So the evolution of pedagogy, the long-term implications, I think will be fascinating. But I come back to what Dean Grundy said in the opening, is that it's one way or the other, it's going to change. It's going to rapidly change in a way that is different than any of us have seen. And that's something that we all need to begin, in my opinion, to think about. So, really, I guess if I were to conclude, our emphasis begins to move towards more systemic initiatives. We do a lot of things as individuals. We try a lot of things out, and that's good. That's fun. That's interesting. But ultimately, we kind of need to bring this up a level, to where we're engaging more people, where we're engaging institutions and policy. Ultimately policy, whether in terms of having simple things like enabling virtual worlds to be used inside university environments. Key consideration is how do we keep our faculty engaged? I mean, really, to me, faculty development is really, really important. And we've got the group of people in this room who are going to be the future. Well, what do we all do to help each other? What do we do? Recognizing particularly that a lot of that technology, a lot of that which we have around us is sustaining innovation to our students. They just kind of expect we're going to do this. They're already using it. It's not a big deal to them. But it can be very disruptive, to a lot of us, all right? And so it makes it harder. It makes it even more difficult as we begin to, envision the kinds of ways in which we can effectively apply technology and engage our students in the process. So I think working with instructors in the evolution of pedagogy is probably the most poignant and serious challenge and issue that we all face. It's great that you have a group and a center and things like this where you can do some of that collectively, and so it's wonderful to be here. So future is challenging, but I think it's very bright. Okay, maybe we have time for a couple questions.